All right. Hello, everybody. Hello. I'll just kind of chat while I wait for you guys to all come in. Okay, I see Jessica, our first listener. Welcome, Jessica. Oh, Shirley, Becca, Lars, Aaron, Eric, Doug, Adam, everybody. Welcome, welcome. And thanks so much for joining today for our audio room. We've got an amazing guest today. Which I am so excited to talk to because I actually, most of the people I've talked to in these audio rooms I've met before, and I have actually never met Jeremiah before. So we didn't even get to chat before we started. This is literally just going in cold. Hi, Jeremiah. How are you?
Yes, sir. What's up, Lindsey?
Just getting in here. Hi. How you doing?
Service. Just Wi-Fi. Oh, I got it for Wi-Fi.
Let's see. I think they're dealing with some. Yeah, I can hear you. You're good.
Oh, okay. What's happening?
I'm good. How are you doing? Are you out at like a park somewhere? It sounds like you're outside.
I am outside. Good. I don't know if you can hear me now, but you just was breaking up just a little bit.
Oh, I was breaking up? Oh, dear.
Maybe it was me.
All good. Well, I'll try to talk slow so that we can hear each other. But man, we've got like 500 people in the room with us today so far, and I'm sure that we'll have more coming. Yeah, where are you calling in from today, Jeremiah?
Can't hear nothing, bro.
I think they're having a hard time with the Wi-Fi situation.
Yeah, you know what? Let me take me off of real quick. Hold on.
Okay, we'll have you come back in a second. So while we're waiting for Jeremiah, I'll just give a brief introduction about him. I want him to give us more info, but I mean, he is an extremely talented musician, and I really wanted to talk to him because he's got a pretty fascinating journey with just the kind of unconventional direction that he took to get to the place he is at now in his career. And I love talking to different musicians about their journeys because it's over and over and over again. You just realize that there is no one way to success. There's no one single path. And, I think that's kind of the beauty of what makes anybody successful is the journey they take.
Okay, I'm back now. Can you hear me now?
Hey, you sound beautiful.
Hey, there we go. We in the money.
Okay, we're here. So now we got you in the voice, Jeremiah.
Yeah, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm really doing good. I'm home in LA. Where are you calling from?
Okay, I'm actually home in Chicago right now, right outside of my condo here. Yeah, but I have a crib out there. I usually work at in LA, but I just got back here just to take care of home for a couple of days real quick.
Oh, absolutely. It's always nice to go home, like wherever home is.
Yeah.
And I have to ask because we were on a Google Hangout real quick. I was with your manager right before this started in the audio room, and he turned the camera so we could see your car driving up. Please explain. That was the most crazy. I wish that we could show a picture of it. Can you describe your car and I don't know, I just have to hear the story behind the car.
Oh, well, the car is actually it's a truck, and it's this new company out in LA called Resvani. And people might mistake it for the Tesla, the truck, because it kind of got like this little futuristic kind of like exterior shape. But it's really a Resvani tank, and it was money green. It was like money green, but I don't know why I put a new wrap on it, which is now kind of like a little too bright red for me. Cause I was
it's
good.
Bright.
I was good with the money green look, but I just wanted to try something different when I had shipped it from LA here. And but I'm not mad. But yeah, it might remind you of the new Tesla truck, not the new Tesla truck, but the new what's buddy name? Either way, go to
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that really
the
futuristic
truck. Yeah.
So, crazy truck. We've all seen pictures of it. But yeah, it did kind of remind me of that. And I was like, somewhat that takes like a certain kind of person to rock a car like that. So I immediately felt like I knew a little bit about you just by seeing your car.
Yeah.
But
well, I like what I like. I mean, any whip I've ever had, I kind of just wanted to make it mine. But I just like, seeing things or grabbing something that I know at least I'm into. So
yeah, totally. So you've always been into cars?
I mean, I'm the type like when all we had was a Saturn. I don't know if you're familiar with a Saturn. Like I kitted out
Mhm.
my Saturn when I was in high school, so people, it wasn't your regular Saturn. Like
Yes.
I put sounds into it. I flipped the color, all types of interior, exterior type things. But that's just me though.
I
But,
love that. So it's like no
yeah.
matter what you got, you're gonna make it very
Oh yeah,
Jeremiah. You're
make it
gonna make
mine
it you.
for
I
sure.
love that. I'm with that. I'm like that with a lot of things, and I'm really proud to be that way with like fashion or like my costumes or violins or like I'm very like
You know
hands
what?
on making
I,
things.
I I noticed the violins for sure. I mean, I noticed the costume, but I saw that you had a whole bunch of different type of vibes of violins that I've never seen, even as a
Ooh.
musician myself. And I was like, okay, I seen what page you was on with that. So
Yeah, see, my violins are kind of like your car. I just make them me.
right,
Um,
right, right.
I love that. So wait, I want to just hear from you how you're doing. Let's just back up a second. You're in Chicago. You're home for a second. How are you feeling? I know that you were one like you caught COVID early on, and it was a scare for you. How are you feeling, and how was your recovery?
Well, you know what? That was life changing for me because I had, obviously from hindsight, I didn't know what was going. I know now what was going on, but I
Oh
know I
yeah.
just had caught like I thought, which is like a typical every year. I usually catch a cold around a certain time, this certain time every year since I've been a shorty. Even having bronchial asthma. But
Uh huh.
it was just something I was used to. But I just knew one time, I just was shaking in the bathroom, and I felt the whole bathroom shaking. I was like, wait a minute, while I was washing my hands. And so then from that night on, it was kind of like just a blur to me. But then I
Yeah.
realized I had, definitely a different form of COVID, and it was pretty rare. They didn't know what was going on, but it was commonly found in what I found out was really like in kids, like in other, which they had other, cases of it when they started
Hmm.
doing more research about it. But right now I feel great. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm almost back 100. I've been, home pretty much for the most of this year, as a lot of us have during the pandemic. But I've, the world as it's starting to open back up, I've been moving around and traveling, just trying to get on the mic and get
Mm,
back to what I know how to do best. So
absolutely.
right
So,
now, yeah,
have you been doing some shows?
you know what? I did as far as one show of mine. I did one at Penn State for the first time, and that was my first time on stage. And mind you, I hadn't done too much like physically, like that. Like I'd be, I'm just now starting to go back to the gym because it was kind of one of those things where I had to learn how to like walk again after that
Oh my
situation.
gosh.
So I was at my mom's crib and just going up the steps and little light things like that. But now I can
Hmm.
go play basketball and get down. And I just was kind of like a piece of me was worried about how I was gonna be able to last that hour and plus on stage. But to be honest, it was solid. The Penn State they went up from every song from the beginning to end, so it kind of like helped at me and just look forward to my next shows, which personally I didn't want to do it and have too much on my plate until I actually dropped some new music, which has been 5-6 years since. So, you know, that's
Wow.
yeah.
That's exciting. So yeah, I'm sure that must have, I mean, after everything you've been through, I mean, everybody went through so much during COVID and, and still is going through a lot. But after having like a life-changing experience like that and like the fear of not even knowing what was wrong and then being able to work up to getting on stage again, I bet that was just such an amazing, like incredible feeling.
Oh, for sure. I was even unsure even how outside of that, like when I my first time back on the mic, which crazily happened to be a song I end up coming out very like immediately after I did it the week of, and it was with DJ Khaled, and it was on his last album, and
Mm-hmm.
he actually ended up making it his intro on the album, and that was really like genuinely like how I felt. That's what I was going through. It's kind of like a breakthrough for me because I was like, man, I don't even know. I'm glad everybody got a chance to hear that and just even hear me for the first time again with that type of record as to like my typical like club joints, or my bedroom type of joints that I was like, man, I don't even feel like none of that right now. Like this is how I feel. So to be able
Mm.
to get that out, and then he, with his and how he be able to sell anything, he just made it, and to be his intro, like that was even more special and just perfect timing to me. But yeah, being on stage, just seeing people just still like just rocking with me with joints that for years that's been out for a decade plus, and we're talking
Yeah.
like a college school, like real freshmen right now that probably was you know, probably 10 years old at that time. So
Yeah.
to see them
You're like,
rocking with me, it's crazy.
oh, that's pretty cool. When you're like, wow, like great music will last. And the fact that, yeah, these people that were kids and you're like, wait, were you listening to Birthday Sex when you were 10?
Right, right.
But that's
Right.
really
I was
cool
like,
that,
who's your mom? Who's your sister?
yeah, right. What are your parents doing here? But that must have been pretty incredible. And
Yeah.
so what are you most excited about right now? Like, is it kind of the getting back onto the stage, or is it writing, or being with you? Like, what's your thing right now that's pumping you up?
Well, crazily, even today I had did some modifications to some voiceovers that I for this show. Hopefully, some of y'all familiar with it. That's about to come out at the top of the year, called Power. That
Mm.
50 Cent crazily, it was like, once again, just kind of divine intervention. When I while being home, there was a spinoff. Obviously, right now he had other shows like that's out like now called like BMF, and then there was one with, you know, like the spinoffs from some of the characters from the original show Power. But I happen to be on one that's going to come out next with the character Tommy off of the show, and what
That's
ended up
so cool.
right what ended up being like one episode turned like 5 6 episodes because they actually were filming it here in Chicago, which is where the you know where they're basing his spinoff of it. So I was here and it was just kind of like perfect timing. So if anything, like just punching in a couple like voice records early and even meeting the people I did that was possibly, you know, if I wanted to do cartoons that just where I was just rubbing shoulders. I'm actually looking forward to that more than anything, like even more than musically, because I've never ever been like on screen. And honestly, after the first day filming, I was like, all right, this ain't really that hard. You know what I'm saying? Like, so,
You're
so,
like, wait, you mean to tell me they write all the lines for
and
me
then,
and I
right. And
just have to
then,
say them?
yeah, this better than singing almost, but,
That is so
but,
cool. And Jeremiah, I have to tell you, I have had on my bucket list since I was like 16 that I wanted to be the voice of an animated character. And so
man.
you are like living my dream right now that you get to
No,
do
but
voiceover work.
I believe that you can pull this off. Like I know what time it is. Like it's nothing that I'm sure you can't do. So, you know,
Okay. I
yeah,
just need to
yeah,
come to Chicago and rub elbows with some people. That's so
yeah.
freaking cool.
Yeah.
I I'm obsessed. So is it voiceover work for a character, or are you like a narrator?
So it was just adding on a couple parts for the actual show
Mm-hmm.
as they're now like editing it. So I just
Ah,
happened to be in the same place where they did like Ice Age and Toy Story 3, like where they was doing some of those. That's all today. So
wow.
so yeah, I was just punching in. I was just as of today. So you asked me like that's just relevant and
So that's
recent.
like
So that's what I'm
literally
looking forward
today
to.
what
Yeah,
you were
yeah,
excited about. That's so cool.
for sure.
So I want to go back to a little bit of the beginning, because like I just want to talk about how you got to where you're at now, because I think you have such an interesting journey that you've been on, and it is really cool to see how everybody has such a different journey, and there is no one single path that gets people there. And so, anyways, I want to talk about what got you here. So, what got you started into music in the beginning? I want to hear about your early experiences with music,
Well, you
like as a
know,
kid.
as a kid, you know, I grew up in the church. I must admit that, and I was always kind of like, I never was a singing type ever. You know, I was just
Mm-hmm.
kind of like more into the music. I was a musician, and even outside of my adolescence years, I ended up going. You know, I went to high school, and even in college, I always, you know, in high school, I played all the sports. I played baseball, I played basketball, and then I started playing football. And this was when it really hit me. When I was on out there, and I'm on the field, on the football field, and I used to hear the marching band go past as they used to just march around the school. And I'd be
Mm.
like, I stopped caring about what I was doing on the field, and I ended up getting hit one time because I was not paying attention. And I was like, all right, I'm done with football. And then so next thing you know, I ended up just getting involved with the marching band, and really that's where I feel like I've really kind of locked
Oh,
in musically. And a lot of people don't know this, but I was in the drum line. I played the quads, and it's actually like the one drum with the four.
yes. Oh, I know the
So
quads. That's cool.
so it was only one of me, and usually it's only one or two of you in each marching band. So I pretty much was kind of like filling in the gaps, and you know that was my role. Even though
Mm-hmm.
I might have played the snare and all the other instruments, but that's what I coined and made in mine. So I strongly believe that had a lot to do with just my cadence and how I come at records, you know.
Oh, that's so interesting. That's so true though. That's like
So
rapping, but
right,
yeah,
right,
on a
yeah,
drum.
right. So when I actually really started like to get good at that, and then knowing I started playing the piano, I think like just together, you know, it kind of just made my rhythm and then my blues with the melody just come
Mm,
together. And then I want to say it was a happenstance that that's just when I realized I could hold a note and put, you know, two and two together. That's just how things have become. And
yeah.
it wasn't until I went to U of I out there and I started like actually trying, or people, should I say, people start telling me like, oh yo, you can sing a little bit, like, you know what I'm saying. So, and I won this little not fashion show. I was in fashion show shit too, but I won a little comedy slash talent show, and
Oh,
from
cool.
that
What made
from
you join it? Like,
well, I was just involved on campus anyway, just because that's just it was, you know, extracurricular. I was just trying to get to know the ladies anyway, to just say the truth. But and
fair
that's what they
enough.
were. They was in the fashion shows, and they was in the, you know, they was involved with all the. Long story short, we can skip that. But I ended up winning that, and then that's when I kind of started slightly make a name for myself. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
from then on, I ended up coming back to Chicago and went to an art school called Columbia College downtown. And real quickly after that first year, that was the end of what kind of like put together my story. And I ended up writing a song called, as you know, Birthday Sex. Like my at the end of that first year at Columbia, and then, you know, going to a school and an
Mm-hmm.
art school where everybody's there like trying to do something that you know you're doing. It kind of became difficult, whether whether or not it wasn't a bad thing. The good thing was that you never knew who you was sitting next to. So there were people in my classes
Mm.
like that might have played the violin, or might have did arts in the design, or might have been dancers. And when I really look back, I'm like, man, I really didn't take advantage of going to a school such of that caliber, because everything that I needed, even now, I could have. I didn't get a chance to really get to know then, because everything was
Mm.
happening so quick for me. And then after a
Right,
while,
right.
with that song becoming a success, it was like then everybody was trying to. It was time to go. That's all. So everything was. I had to go. I had to move on, and I ended up just taking it. It was from that day on. It was over with once Birthday Sex dropped.
So wait, what were you studying in school?
I went to engineering science, and then I went to engineering science out there, U of I. Then
Wow,
I came to Columbia for music business, and
got you.
I was like in a quarter of learning all of that. So
Yeah,
instead I had to really learn. I had to have the game teach me instead of the teacher.
yeah. So
You know
I'm
what I'm saying?
curious, did you, well, I went to college as well, actually, and it's funny, I was in a film major for a while, and then I switched majors and I decided, no, I'm going to be a therapist instead. And, meanwhile, I started to like release music, and then, things started to happen on YouTube. That was kind of my story, was YouTube started to explode. But I kind of
Right.
felt like, oh my gosh, I was walking on a single line as I was in school, and then suddenly the line started to split in half like a Y. And then my
Wow.
legs, it was like I was trying with one leg to step on each side of the line as it like diverged and split. But then eventually you kind of have to make this choice of like, okay, I can't do both of these now anymore. Like I either have to jump to being like pursuing this performance thing that's unsure and a little scary, or I can
Right.
take the more proven path and I can stay in college and, get my degree. And it was really hard to know when it was the right time to jump. Okay, I can't do both anymore. I got to pick one.
Right.
And so did you have that same experience? And what was it that made you be like, okay, it's time to full on go into being a performer and being an artist?
Um, I want to say when my obviously, like I said, going to that school, I started, because even to this day, people, well, I ain't gonna say to this day. Hopefully, it's been a decade plus. But at that time, the song was what it was without me. Like
Mm,
I actually had met a producer by the name of Mick Schultz, who, like I said, was just a friend of a friend of mine that went to that school, and things happened so quick. It actually was the second song that I really ever wrote. It was like the second song that, or the second vibe I was working with the producer. We did like probably one or two ideas. It might have been a third, But then I
Wow.
you know, and then it happened so fast, and I feel like it really hit me when, because no one ever knew how I looked, how whoever sang that song looked. So I was able to go to that school for at least a month or two, and nobody knew it was me. You
Oh,
know what I'm saying?
wow.
So it was all right with me because I'm all right with that. But then it
Hmm.
wasn't until like my teachers started to ask me to stay after class because they, you know, they doors or somebody wanted, and I was like, well, I'm just ready to, you know. And it wasn't a bad thing, but I was just like, all right, if they already know, they starting to know who I am now, then it's just time to go. Because my teachers, you know, that was different when their teachers asked you to stay after, you know, to take
Yeah,
a
yeah.
picture. So it's just like, all right, let me go ahead and just at least try to see if I can really just try. That's all. And coming from Chicago, I don't. It's okay, I guess, to mention his name because it's true. But the last person to me that came out of the city that did well and was successful in R&B was R. Kelly. You know, and
Mm.
this is before all of whatever this transpired over the years that we found out. But at that time, he's the last R&B dude from the crib that was like. And
Yeah.
I don't know no other and I don't know no other name to mention. You know, so
Yeah.
at that time that people were, you know, comparing, and I'm like, all right, y'all like that, well, I got some more, you know. But I was just so geeked off of knowing what was going on then that, you know, that especially for this to be a big city, and you know, I just felt like I had a void to fill, and I knew I could do it.
Yeah. It's cool to hear you say that it was like the second song you'd like ever written that
Yeah,
really was what kind of changed your life. And I think a lot of times we like almost the more you know, the less you know sometimes. Like sometimes your own knowledge can get in your way because here you were just kind of writing songs for fun. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you probably didn't know a ton about songwriting. You know, you were just kind of going with the flow and writing what felt good. And you know, sometimes I personally tried to go back to that version of myself that wrote my first album when honestly I'd never written music before and I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just following, like, I had a good ear and I was following my intuition and just writing. And I feel like it's almost harder for me now that I know a lot and I'm trying to obey all the rules. I have to like tell myself to throw the rule book out the window sometimes so I can get back to that, you know,
yeah.
this, like you, like the guy who his second song was a huge hit. And I don't know, do you ever feel like you have to kind of unlearn what you've learned to get back to that place?
Well, yeah, that's a good question. Actually, right now, I mean, I've gotten back to my roots. Like I even stay in my old
Mm.
condo that I had first bought at that time, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I admit at I actually had one class. Why I don't know, but I think it was just part of just to fill in. But it was a poetry class, right? At
Mm.
Columbia, and it was a different type of poetry though. It wasn't like no rhyming words. It was some different type of poetry. But while they wasn't rhyming words, I was. And so
Mm.
while I was in there, I found myself just writing and jotting down a whole bunch of just thoughts. And I admit I haven't picked up a pen and a pad in a very long time. Like, because obviously, you know, now we got our iPhones and the notes and whatnot that I can utilize if I want to, you know, start writing. But yeah, over time, working with other artists and even going like to Atlanta and just going to wherever worldwide, I've seen the different styles of how people create. And what really had got me is randomly, I got up with Gucci Man, Gucci Man in Atlanta.
Mm.
And I see out of all the people in the world that I could even, you know, say that I worked with, he kind of put me on a new style of in the way that of writing, and
Mm-hmm.
and just real black and white and no gray area. He just went in and just said what was on his mind, and there I was just kind of like writing before, like, you know what I'm saying, trying to really write in my notepad. But once I seen him go in and just kind of not necessarily freestyle, but he was just going for what he knew and whatever felt good, and or just maybe
Yeah.
coming up with a melody and then putting in the word. I was like, oh, okay, I could do this. You know what I'm saying? So from then on, like it's been I've like about 70% been doing that, and then until recently, I just was like, man, let me pick up a pen and pad and just forget that and just go back to how I
Mm.
did things, and I can't. Both of them work for me, so you know,
Yeah.
it was just another skill I picked up.
Absolutely. And I think, you know, people always ask me about writer's block. I feel like that's one of the most frequent creative questions that I get asked by whether it's friends or fans is like, how do you deal with writer's block? And honestly, I think what you just described is the best way that I deal with writer's block. Like there is a million different ways to approach writing, and the more you do it, the more you work with other people, like you said, you learn different ways of how people approach it. And so it's like, oh my gosh, sometimes if I'm experiencing a huge writer's block, I just have to switch styles of writing. Like instead of, like you said, instead of improvising, oh,
Yeah.
let me pick up a pad of paper and let me write it down like sheet music. Okay, well, if it's not working today on the violin, let me tinker around on the piano and see if a different melody will come from the piano than comes from my violin. You know,
Oh, for
it's just
sure.
interesting to like sometimes just slightly switch it up, and it literally uses a different part of your brain that possibly isn't blocked like the one that you're currently using. So
Right.
that's really cool. And you've written with tons of people. Like I was actually very, very impressed and like just so shocked when I looked at your list of the songs that you've written, like massive songs for massive artists. And so how do you approach writing for different people versus writing for yourself?
I actually, as crazy as it sounds, I enjoy writing. I've over time I've enjoyed writing for others than myself because I had to get outside of myself sometimes. Like, and
Mm.
like like for instance, this week I'm supposed to go with Mary J. Blige in New York. I head
Woo!
out tomorrow, and these are people that obviously, have been out for 2 decades, 3 decades plus, and just still out here doing it. And my mom's love her, and it not even just that even all that matters was just sometimes when it comes to women, like I enjoy doing that because it kind of like what would I want somebody to tell me, kind of, and it might be a little
Mm.
easier because I know what I want somebody to tell me, but and then all the time everybody in my mind don't want to hear what I want to tell them because right now that's not where I'm, my headspace isn't. Well, back then I was in love a little bit. I ain't in love right now. Let me just say
Mm.
that.
Yeah, yeah, I see.
I can't explain it, but you know what I'm saying? No. But either
Mm-hmm.
way, it's easier for me to write for others because I get outside my shell, I get outside my box, and a lot of times, as crazy as it sounds, even when I do that and they don't necessarily keep the songs, it's gotten to parts where I've kept it. You know what I'm saying? Just
Yeah.
because I was thinking about just getting outside of my shell. Now it's been songs I wrote for women that I didn't even change it when I put it out. I just left it
Wow.
as, you know what I'm saying, because it worked. So
That's interesting. It puts you in somebody else's perspective, and then suddenly you see it through their eyes, and you're like, actually, like
yeah,
maybe I mean, that's a life lesson right there in general of just like we're all so locked in our own heads. Sometimes we see things the way we see them. And then
right,
sometimes if you step back and just look at somebody else's perspective, it's interesting to be like, wow, maybe like, gosh, there's truth to everything, or, they
yeah,
have their side, or maybe that could even relate to me.
true,
I think
very
that's
true.
really cool. So you've done like tons of collaborations, like we were just talking about, and this is your chance to name drop. Like you threw out Mary J. Blige, which is
Uh huh.
so freaking cool. And I haven't written for a ton of other people. I've written a couple songs for other people, but
Uh huh.
mostly I've just collaborated with different people, either on my projects or just uh, you know like let's see, I'll name drop. The Muppets is one of my favorite collabs.
Hey, okay. There you go.
Or Celine Dion. And but
Hey,
I want to hear, what are some of
I
your
just made a song called Celine Dion as of 2-3 days ago. That's how the world works.
Wait, what?
all
Oh, I gotta hear that.
right, all right, all right. Well, it's
I
a
gotta.
little different. It's a play on the words, but it's just random you said that because literally,
Yeah.
I cut a song 3 days ago in Atlanta called Celine Dion. So
Wow. Okay,
it's not,
I'm
but it's
gonna
nothing
send you some
about Celine
violins.
Dion though.
I'm gonna send you some violin lines for some Celine Dion
Yeah,
action. That's
help me out, help me out.
yeah, I got you. But yeah, so who are some of your favorite collaborations you've ever done?
Uh, uh, I would like to say probably 50 Cent.
Mm.
Um, Wale. We every time we've worked, we've worked well. I haven't got quite to the Muppets like caliber yet, but but
I know. That's a whole nother ballpark. You'll
but
get there
it's a
someday.
the big ball part, yeah.
Yeah,
But
that's the big game.
but let's see.
I mean, gosh, 50 Cent,
DJ
that's
Khaled, you
crazy.
already know. Yeah, every time I collab, usually with those people, everything Meek Mill, we've never done one platinum. Like, it's just a vibe. It's a vibe. When I go in, I don't really think too
Yeah,
hard about it. It's just an energy thing, and every time we've done something, it's done well. So
that's so cool. Yeah, you've done some amazing stuff. So mad respect for you right there. And something I was thinking about while you were talking about how sometimes it's easier to write for other people because you get outside of your head a little bit. It
Yeah.
made me think. I was like, you know what? Like I said, I haven't written a ton for other people, but sometimes it can be really vulnerable to write about yourself in your own, in your own music. And so
Hmm.
I was like, oh my gosh, I think that's probably why a lot of times when I'm writing, I write stories and like little vignettes about characters. Like my most recent album was all about a story I wrote for a comic book. And so it wasn't necessarily like
Hmm.
I was writing my story. I was writing my story, but through the eyes of this comic book character named Artemis. And so even though it
Hmm.
was super personal, it felt like it was through somebody else's eyes. So I don't know. I never thought of that before until you were describing that. I'm like, that's probably why I do it, because it's a little easier through somebody else's eyes.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's fun for me too. Like, I don't want to, nothing one dimensional. I just want to keep on having. If it's not fun, it's nothing to me. Like, so
Mm.
I don't want to do nothing I've done before. So,
How do you keep it fun? Like, and this is an honest question because sometimes I get so stressed out when I go into writing sessions sometimes, and my
uh,
managers are always like, Lindsey, just have fun, relax. And I'm like, okay, but I have this sense that I'm going to be judged or that I'm not good enough. Like, how do you deal with that? How do you just make it fun?
well, I want to say I write my life for the most part. Write your life,
Mm-hmm.
I would say, and
Yeah.
then luckily, like I like to just pick some people, and I like people to pick my brain. But just having a conversation sometimes could change the whole aspect of how you can come at working with someone. So when
Mm-hmm.
I don't know whether if it's not only just that, but just getting out of your space that you're used to being in. Sometimes I make a beat outside, or sometimes I be inside, or sometimes I gotta go fly to Amsterdam just to ride on a boat or on a bike. Just different stuff. Like I
Yes.
don't like,
I
you know,
love biking in Amsterdam, by the way. That's one of the
yeah,
coolest places.
yeah. Just you gotta live a little, cause otherwise you're not. So it's
Yeah,
like one of those for
and
me.
I think that's why people have had a lot of writers have had artists, or artists have had writer's block over the last year, and people are struggling to come out with new music. And it's like because people weren't in a place where they could live life and they couldn't travel or they couldn't see their loved ones as much. So I
Yeah.
think people were stunted because they weren't living. And how do you write when you're not living?
Right. So I mean, like even you saying that, I remember just right before obviously the pandemic. I was in Brazil for some shows, but then out of the blue, ASAP Rocky's team had reached out. So mind you, I was a little just exhausted from the run we had in Brazil, right? But he hit me and said, "Yo, could you come to Berlin?" I'm like, "Well," and me in
Whoa.
my head, I'm like, I don't even know where that is. They just sound far right now, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
but knowing that I just knew I hadn't been there. Not well, I've been there before, but I was in and out for some shows, so I don't never really get a chance to enjoy the actual area. You know what I'm saying? And just do something,
Mm-hmm.
eat some food, or just walk around a little bit. But when he wanted me to come out there, and we was at the Soho House out there in Berlin, and what we did, it was just, I don't know, even the flight alone just gave me some. I was well rested, I was ready to go, and what we did was everything we did was gold. So he hasn't
Mm-hmm.
put it out yet, but that's just to go, follow up with my statement, what I'm saying. Like it was just new
Yeah.
and you know, good vibes.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. That's so cool. Berlin is such a cool city. That's,
yeah,
you know, it's just such
for
an
sure.
artist city. I feel like it's kind of like the
That's probably
LA
why he
or
was there.
Nashville of,
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm curious, going back to, you said you studied like music business in school. I'm curious, are you super involved now in the business side of things in your career? Or is that something you kind of just put in the past and let go of and you're like now just an artist? Or like, I don't know, is that something that's still a part of your life?
Well, I had to because, as I said, not only was I feel like from hindsight, I didn't take advantage of the people I knew I was sitting next to in my class,
Mm-hmm.
because I was like, man, I didn't know I needed everybody that was in there. Like I needed dancers, I needed a band, I needed a
Yeah.
light person, I needed a sound engineer. I needed to learn how to record myself on Pro Tools, and I didn't finish that course because I had
Yeah.
made birthday say everything I didn't get a chance to finish. So over the years, and even just learning the music, the business of I got the music. It was the business that I just did. I didn't need school to make music. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
totally.
all that would school probably would have done was chisel it up for me. But truth be told, now I'm more involved because over the last couple of years, over the last decade, one thing I can admit saying is that I haven't had the best business. You know what I'm saying? Because of whether people I had that were in charge of it was just learning themselves,
Yeah.
or knew a lot more about it than I did. You know what I'm saying? So it was a little bit of both. And so there I was just trying to play the artist, and most people, I don't know, I could just honestly say this: if they went through what I went through, they probably wouldn't be here still, because I could have gotten frustrated and just like fed up and just like lost just the passion, but it's just in me. You know what I'm saying? Because of that's what sometimes business can do, man. Bad business can do for the most talented person. You know what I'm saying? On this earth. So
Absolutely. Like, there's a reason that people get pretty jaded in the entertainment industry. It's because artists have to sometimes toe that line between business and art. And it sometimes, when you take something so precious to you as your art and it becomes a business piece, it's
right.
really hard not to get jaded and feel used and feel, so it does take a lot of resilience to
Yeah.
go through that and stay an artist, and stay
Right.
loving it.
Right. So
So,
so recently, yeah, like I said, I had to put, I put one, I got to put both my feet in the door now on that end, and just make sure that just when everything's just fair and just right. It's a wrong and it's right, and I feel like, I don't even want to look in the past in the rearview mirror. I'm looking at the road still, and
mm.
I can get over all that. So but just knowing that you can fix whatever. If it's a problem, it's an answer, and I think I've gotten close to the answers now.
What do you think it was that like kept you in like going for it and kept you passionate? Because like you said, you're like a lot of people would have lost their passion or would have given up. Like, what was it that made it so that you were like, no, I'm gonna stick with this. I'm gonna stick it out. I'm gonna do it.
Because I think it's just in me. It's just
Yeah.
the music is just in me. How I didn't know I would ever be known to sing around the world. I just knew I was gonna be some type of musically inclined to something. Whether it been on a
Mm-hmm.
Broadway show, whether it been in the soundboard playing the thing playing the keyboard for the Bulls, whatever. I would have did something like I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
know. You know what I'm saying? But who would have known that it would have led to this far and not be out. And
yeah,
train myself vocally to be able to just hang if not the best, be the best, over the time.
yeah,
So it's like I'm that's what I'm here for. When I feel like when anybody you figure out what what you're here for on earth. And this is not all I want to do. I think this is just one thing that I'm starting. I'm still like I'm not who I am still yet, as far as like in this field. But it's more things that I want to
yeah.
do in my life. And, even going through what I did last year made me really reevaluate that. Like, man, I ain't even do what I could have done really yet. You know what I'm saying? So
You've
I
just
had sat down.
tipped
I had a lot of time to myself. Go ahead.
oh, you just have tipped the iceberg. You've just started.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
yeah. To me.
and it's interesting. I've thought this many times where I'm like, you know what, if I wasn't professionally doing what I do right now, if I wasn't, paid to be an artist. And I guess I'm saying this from a really privileged place because I
Uh-huh.
am so lucky. We're both so lucky that we get paid to do what we love and that our passion is our work. And that is
Yeah.
such a privilege. But to be honest, I really think that you and I, like you said, would both be doing it whether we were paid to do it or not. Because like looking back at it, my high school friends joke around, but it's true that I'm still doing pretty much the exact same things I would do all the time in high school. And I would like
Yeah.
gather all my friends around to make music videos and edit them. And, I would play with my band. And like, I was so passionate about this for so long. It's just now I do it at a professional high level.
Exactly.
But I'm like, if I wasn't paid to do it, I would still be finding ways to make music for fun. I'd still be jamming with friends. I would still
For
be
sure.
making fun little projects with friends or family, like videos. Like I just know that. And so it's like sometimes I think it's important for all of us to realize that like if you want to get into this business or if you want to chase any dream, you have to chase it knowing that you love it enough that you would do it even if you weren't paid, like even if it wasn't your thing.
That's a quote. That's a quotable.
There you go. You can take that.
I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll put it in my back pocket. I got you.
Yeah. So Also, here's another question. You've been at this for a long time. You know, you had your first hit 11 years ago, and you've stayed relevant through all of this time, you know, through all the different things you've done and all your different talents. You know, and as an artist these days, there is so much noise out there, and, you know, through all the social media platforms. So, how do you feel like you stay relevant and connected to fans? And how do you how do you do that?
Well, I must admit, I'm not the biggest online presence, Instagramming, Facebooking artist that's out here. Like, and that's just because I don't know. I guess I just need somebody to help me do that. Maybe on top of it all, because like I'm more the type. If I'm at a event or something, it's in my. I like the memory. I like the memory in my head because I
Mm,
see it, not because I want the phone up to. And
yes.
I'm not there to me. Like I be in the moment so much that I don't care that nobody. Like if you're not there, you ain't there. But I'm here and let me
Yes.
enjoy this because I'm enjoying my phone in the sky the whole time. Like I don't know. That's just me. You know what I'm saying? But
Well, you know,
how to,
I think that's really good for people to hear because I know so many people who are artists or they want to be artists and they're just like, but I'm not good at social media. And so they think that means that, oh, well, if I'm not good at social media, that probably means it's impossible for me to be in the public eye and do what I
what?
love because that's apparently part of it. But what I hear you saying is that you're not into that. It's not what you care about. And yet, you know, you still are very relevant and extremely successful. And so like how do you find that balance and you
So
know what is it that you do?
So right now, if anything, I just how I've grown over time with my family. I haven't even dropped music in a while, but that's one thing. A lot of people, and that's why I really appreciate even talking to you because most people don't even get to hear me talk. Most of my fans only have heard me sing, and
Mm. Well, I'm honored.
so yeah. So at the same time, like I mean, maybe I could just say going forward. It's not like it's nothing I can't do. It's just I will. Obviously, we're talking about two different times from these days today and then 10 years ago when it's when okay, let me just say it like this, back in the day, and I don't want to I'm not going to say that this is like my claim to whatever it is, but you know stars were usually you know you can only see from afar. When you got to see them, just technically you damn near might need a microscope, so that's why you had to come see their shows, or if you saw them
Mm.
on TV, that's when you only got to see them. And nowadays
Yeah.
it's got so social media driven that it's like, wait a minute, like I don't know anybody, like, and it's okay really because there's a stars born every day. But truth be told, it's gotten so like caught up in that hype that this is how things have to be. That it's not a bad thing, but I just bit how I feel like I can still just keep in touch with my fans and just be me. That's all. I don't know who else to be, and I've seen people become very successful off of just being themselves and just staying in people's faces like online. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
to each his own. It's kind of like I can't tell you how to do nobody but me. And I get this all the time. People are like, you should do this, you should do that, and I get it. It's not like I'm not paying attention to it because I do get it, and of course I could do that more. I could say that, but I don't like I
Yeah.
can say it about like you should do that, like, but that's not where I'm. You know what I'm saying? So I get it though.
Well, I really like what you're saying because we live in a world where everybody, I mean, gosh, you go on, you know, some of these social media platforms and people are trying so hard to be each other. They're trying so hard to be what everybody tells them they should be and
Right.
following the trends perfectly, hoping that the world will see them in this single post and that that will change everything for them. But what I'm hearing you say, and even through this whole interview, you've talked a lot about like it's relationships that has kind of been there for you, like people
Yeah.
that you know, like you know these amazing collaborations where you've built relationships and so they call you up and they say, hey, I want to fly you out to Germany right now to write with me.
Yeah.
And that didn't come because you were posting like crazy on social media and trying to get the
Right.
attention of the world and be like, look at me, look at me. It came because you did things in your own way and you took a different route and you built those relationships from the ground up with people.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, honestly, I'm guessing that that is what has made you possible to sidestep this like very, very noisy world of social media and still be successful. And I think that's really cool for people to hear you say that, like, all you can do is you. Like, it's, you know, I remember when I first started my journey, I read a book called How to Make It in the Music Industry. And it was like telling you everything that I should do. And I remember thinking, this is impossible for me. for me. Like, this is not the way I'm ever going to make it. I don't have this kind of a personality. I don't have that kind of money. And, you know, but I looked at many different paths of different artists and what they had done. And then after kind of seeing all these different ways of doing it, whether it's social media or relationships or money or, you know, whatever, it was like, oh, this is the path that will work for me. And so there's there's a lot of noise out there, and it's easy for people to think that there's one way to do things. But I just love that you're like, that doesn't work for me. That's not my thing. So I've done it another way, and it's worked for you. That's really cool.
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure.
So I'm curious, are you super involved in the production of your, like, you're obviously a prolific writer, you know, and you're a performer, but how involved are you in the production of the projects you work on?
Well, what people don't know is, I only said that earlier about like just me starting to sing and like how that transpired over the years. But before all of that, I was a producer before it all. Like, as I told you before, and being in the marching band, and it might sound a little cheesy a little bit, but it kind of just trained my ear. And then no joke, I seen Kanye West come out, and I'm like, and he's from the crib, and I'm like, wait a minute, he was winning off these same sample and hip hop old sample loops that I'm making a similar sound, you know. And this is back when I was in high school, so people don't know that how I really started wasn't from singing, it was from making beats on Fruity Loops. And
that's
still
so
to this
cool.
still to this day, you know what I'm saying? Like, I call myself, my alter ego is Stumpy Johnson, because that's my producer name. And to be honest with you, I just sold my first beat.
Nice! Congratulations!
A week and a half ago.
Oh, that's amazing.
After making beats for 10 years. So, you know, I think maybe I'm going the opposite of what people usually, you know what I'm saying, what I thought I was going to do. And I was going to get known for being a producer first. Now it's kind of like doing the opposite. You know what I'm saying? So
absolutely. So is that kind of what you're hoping for as a future trajectory, is to really start making more beats and being more known as a producer? Or are you hoping to do more artist stuff, or are you just really hoping to do both?
A little bit of both. I mean, I'm not really you know, I don't have no lane. I can swerve the whole highway. Like, and I just, the people just don't know that, you know. And I feel like they want the best of me or just the rest of me, and I really got some more that I know that I've been able to really just chisel up as well. And the production is definitely, for me to even sell my first one last week was just a testimony in its own. But outside of that, especially with a lot of songs that has probably been, you know, chart topic for me, I was probably involved with the beginning, you know.
Yeah.
Snapping of the fingers of it. Yeah. So yeah, just, you know, from that point on. So yeah, I'm looking forward to just, I don't even need the recognition. This is just facts, and it's just what I love to do.
That's amazing. And how cool, after you said 10 years plus of doing this, you sold your first beat, you know, something that you've always been interested in. And again, that's just a testament to, like, I just see it over and over and over again in this business, that the people that succeed, you know, aren't the ones that just like come out the gate swinging. It's the people that stand the test of time. Like, you may have come out the gate swinging with your first, you know, your second song you ever wrote, but then to stay relevant and to really be successful and to do some of your other passions, you know, it took 10 years to get your first beat sold. And so that's just such a cool testament to, like, and I'm sure you're going to sell so many more, and you're going to, like, excel in that lane too, because you just sound like that kind of person.
All right. I can't wait, man.
Yeah. So I'm curious, what should we be looking for from you? Like, I want to hear from you as, you know, we wrap this up. What are you said you were really excited about the voiceover projects, but do you have any other stuff coming up that you want to tell us about?
I don't know what I'm gonna do yet, but I'm gonna do it. That's all I do know. And I'm like halfway through. You know, my last album came out in 2015. And so here we are in 2021, and I think it's time. I think this time of the year is actually my time of the year. It's my season.
Nice.
And my fall, winter, you know. So just knowing that, on top of Power, and outside of the voice note, I was just saying Power. I'm looking forward to that. And around that same time, so that people, because they never see me maybe in this time in the same light, knowing that even with my my biggest songs never had no videos to it, they'll be able to not only hear me this go around, but also see me. on the screen. So y'all look up and look forward to that. I'm looking forward to Power at the top of the year. Tommy edition of Power is called Force. New album, about halfway through it. It's already sound like what I know best, like how I feel, not only how I feel, but how I want people to hear it. And what I know others probably not that they can't do it, but they're just not doing as far as R&B. So
Nice.
and whatever, hopefully we bump shoulders and I can bump into you. We can get some strings involved and all types and make it more the big picture. So
Jeremiah, I will happily send you some violins for you to make some beats over.
I got you.
That would be fun. I haven't tiptoed into that world very much of that genre of music, and so it's something I've actually been experimenting with a little bit recently, like kind of just trying to, like I said earlier, make writing fun. I've just been experimenting more. So anyways, I'll send you some violin beats. I'm
Help
excited.
Help a brother out.
Okay, I will. Well, tell everybody where they can find you. Like, where should they go to find you on social media to follow you?
Okay. Well, you can hit me up at Jeremih, and that's Jeremih. I know a lot of people still kind of say it wrong and probably spell it wrong because it might seem like it's spelled and sounding wrong, but it's just Jeremiah without the A. And that should be on all platforms, Jeremih.com, on Facebook /Jeremih, and on the gram at Jeremih. So you can catch me on
the name underneath it is, what did you say, Thumpy?
Oh, that's my my production name. So I haven't made him a page yet, but I'll probably start now that I finally start my first beat. I'll probably start posting just little clips up of how I get down. So, and that's Thumpy Johnson. So.
Thumpy Johnson, that's it. Yeah, I saw that on your page, and I was actually going to ask you about that. So I'm glad you told me what that meant, because I was like, interesting. That's cool. Well, Jeremiah, it's been so nice talking with you. Next time I'm in Chicago, we're definitely going out to get deep dish, my treat.
Hey, at least you know.
I know. Oh, I was there a few months ago, and I was like, oh, this stuff is so good. But anyways, thank you for taking the time to chat with me, and good luck on your album. Can't wait to hear more of it, and I'll definitely be sending you some stuff.
All right, for sure. Same here.
Okay. Bye. And to everybody else, thank you so much for joining us today on our chat. Be sure to stay tuned, everyone. I'll be posting when my next Facebook audio room will be. If you follow me here on Facebook or on Instagram, I'll be sharing more about that. But hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And talk to you soon, guys.
Peace out.
Bye.